Back in 2017, 2018, I didn't think I was good enough. Like back in 2018, I think it was. So I started my first health and wellness business in 2015 and then a second in 2017. And it was right around 2018 that I decided that I didn't have what it takes. I decided that I didn't have what it takes to be successful in the health and wellness space. And so, right around 2018, I believe it was, I enrolled at Wayne State University in downtown Detroit and as pre-med. Now, I had prior to enrolling, I had worked as a personal trainer. I had personally lost over 60 something pounds. So I was on my own health and wellness journey. I was feeling great physically, personally. But when I decided to move into the health and wellness space as a career, after starting my first health and wellness company in 2015, I think it was around 2018 that I had decided that I wasn't good enough and that I needed to go get some additional credentials to feel more confident in my ability to help other people. So it was right around 2018 that I enrolled as a pre med student. I was ready to become a doctor. I enrolled at Wayne State University. And I enrolled in Wayne State University because I didn't feel like the education I had already acquired up until that point, I didn't feel like the experience I had already acquired up until that point was good enough to help the people I wanted to serve as a health coach. I didn't believe I was good enough. Welcome back. Hello, I'm Lisa A. Smith, plant based health and business coach, the founder of a coaching company, The Plant Protocol. And we are talking about what being unhealed cost me. So, if this is your first installment this month, then you probably missed last Monday where I talked about the need to get healed and become healed and how I recognize that I need to be healed. And this month, all the month of October on my lives every Monday morning at 10 a.m. EST, we're talking about healing. Last week, I told you guys how I discovered that there was something I needed to heal from. Today, I'm going to share with you guys what being unhealed cost me because there was a big cost with being unhealed, and I want to share that with you. And my mission today is to help you to begin to think about your own story. If you are in a place where healing still needs to take place, if you're in a place where maybe you're on your healing journey, I want you to have very keen awareness around what it could cost you if you don't finish the process. Some of us start and we don't finish. It's a very common thing amongst us. We start, but we don't finish. So if you know you need to heal from something, maybe you haven't quite started the journey yet, or you're starting it, but you're not as committed to it as you need to be. I'm hoping that my personal story will help you along your journey and help you recognize what you may be paying for, what unhealed actions may be costing you. Hey, y'all, good morning. Welcome back. So, listen, I got tea today. Okay, but it's cooling off. It's cooling off. So we about to get into it. So I told you guys last week in last week's episode how I discovered I needed to heal. Right? I was sitting on campus at Wayne State University listening to Les Brown talk about how his parents chose him, and the tears started streaming down my face. And I realized I was sad and broken because my biological dad hadn't chose me, and that moment started me on a healing journey. But today I want to tell you why I was at Wayne State University in the first place. So I've been in business next year in 2025. It'll be 10 years. I've been in business in the health and wellness space. However, early on in the beginning of my entrepreneurial career, there was a time where I felt like I wasn't good enough for the work that I wanted to do. There was a time in my personal history where I felt like I wasn't enough. Okay. And so that I wasn't enough manifested in me making the decision to enroll as like in my mid 30s in my early to mid 30s to enroll in back in college. Now, mind you, when I enrolled at Wayne State as pre-med, I had already successfully acquired 2 degrees, a bachelor's in psychology and an MBA. Okay. But because I was moving into the health and wellness space, and everyone I was seeing that was in the plant-based nutrition space, who was speaking on the big stages, everyone who was like writing books, everyone who was being paid to attend these national conferences and summits, they had MD behind their name. And I was like, well, apparently the only way to have credibility in this space is to get an MD behind my name. And so I enrolled at Wayne State University as pre-med. And I really did that thinking that is what was required in order for me to gain the credibility and the respect, and even earn the same amount as those other individuals in the plant-based coaching space, as those other MDs, as those other subject matter experts, as those other healthcare providers, right? Being unhealed cost me my belief in myself. Being unhealed cost me my confidence in myself. And let me tell you, let me make the connection for you. And so I told you that, I had just prior, when I enrolled in Wayne State in 2018, I had just a couple years prior started my first business in the health and wellness space. And I had started an online personal training company. And I personally had this beautiful weight loss story. I had lost 60 plus pounds. And my story started with personal training. So I went on to start an online personal training company. And then I fell in love with nutrition. I became a plant-based vegan. And then I started mastering and teaching nutrition science. But as I started discovering more and more my gift of speaking and communication, I wanted to be on the stages as well. I was really, really drawn to the stages, and I wanted to be on stages speaking and teaching and sharing what I know, like all the other experts in the nutrition space and in the plant-based nutrition space. However, I quickly decided that I wasn't good enough to share those stages with those other MDs. And so I enrolled to get a whole nother degree after already having 2 degrees. Black women stand up. Where are all the Black women who have already given the American education system and universities billions of dollars? Okay. Who are all my, I don't know if there's such thing as overqualified or overeducated, but how many of you to have continuously pursued education and certifications and credentials so that you can feel qualified when you walk in the room? Anybody here like that? Anyway, it might just be me. So I enrolled at Wayne State University, and I decided I wasn't good enough yet, right? And it wasn't until, thank you, Jacqueline on YouTube, she said me. Oh, Regina, she said me with 2 master's degrees. Listen, if just a few people that was on right now added up all of our degrees and our credentials and the letters behind our name, honey, we'll be here till next Monday, okay? Because we have more than what it takes, and we get all of those credentials and all of that education, and we still sometimes don't feel like we're qualified. And let me tell you why I felt like I wasn't qualified. So I told you guys that hey, I didn't feel good enough. I didn't feel qualified. So I enrolled at Wayne State University, and I decided that, I needed to get something that will make people respect me, that will make people believe me when I opened up my mouth. Because what was happening as I was working as a personal trainer and as a health coach in my business is that over and over, I would hear again and again, my doctor said, my doctor said, my doctor said. So here I am trying to teach my personal training clients about nutrition, and I'm trying to educate them on a plant-based lifestyle. But over and over and over again, I would hear them say, my doctor said, my doctor said. And I was like, well, shoot, I must need to become the doctor if I'm going to get these individuals to believe in me, to believe what I'm saying about nutrition. I mean, I've decided to study it myself, and granted, they don't even teach nutrition science in medical school, but I just need the credentials so they will believe the stuff that I learned on my own. That's what I thought, right? Because they were kept saying, my doctor said, my doctor said, my doctor said. And so I decided that I wasn't good enough. I decided that I didn't have what it takes. Without that credential, I decided in that moment that I didn't have what it takes to go as far as I needed to go to help the people that I wanted to serve. Being unhealed cost me my confidence. I remember, so I told you guys last week that once I discovered that I needed to heal from the fact that my father had essentially abandoned me, right? He started co parenting with my mom and they were doing visitations and he would come get me on the weekends. And then one day he stopped and I never saw him again. And so the hurt from those feelings of abandonment made me decide that I wasn't good enough for my father to love me. Right, I'm not good enough. There must have been, kids, right? There must have been something wrong with me. There must have been something um, that I did that caused him. I must have been part of the problem, right? And so I remember when I got into therapy, remember I told you guys therapy was a part of my healing process. And I got into therapy and I walked into my therapist's office and I was like, yo, all of your other patients, all of your other clients probably give you a really hard time. I'm about to do you a favor and I'm about to make your job so easy, Mrs. Therapist. I already know what my problem is. So we don't have to waste time in discovery. We could just start from here. I walked in her office with my bold self, okay? And I told that therapist on day one, I already know what my problem is. I have this thing called I'm not enough syndrome. And the reason I have I'm not enough syndrome is because my dad, decided years ago to stop visiting me, to not have a relationship with me. And because of that, it caused me to believe that I'm not enough. And so therefore, I'm an overachiever and I never celebrate accomplishments because I just am going after the next thing and the next big thing and the next accomplishments in hopes that he will love me. And I was like, and that is my issue, therapist. And that's what you need to fix. Where do we start? My. She like, oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's just see about that. So we go through a couple sessions, whatever. And then a couple sessions in, after I just boldly told her what my issue is and how easy her job was about to be, she went on to share with me that in fact was not the case, and that my my decision around my circumstance about the fact that I only achieved things because I was trying to win my father's love was wrong. Okay. She went on to tell me that I was always going to be successful despite him being there or not being there. She went on to tell me that based on the things I continued to share with her and as she got to know me, she went on to tell me that it was not the case that that I was an achiever and that I was a go-getter and that I was on track to be successful because I was just trying to get my dad to love me. She's like, no, that's who you are innately. You are driven innately. That's who you are. It had nothing to do with that. So I decided just from trying to self-diagnose and from just listening to my online therapist that you know what, I just don't think I'm enough, and that's why I'm an achiever and an overachiever, and that's why I have all these degrees, and that's why I start companies, and that's why I have all these accolades that people are proud of me for. But the real truth is that I just don't. I'm just chasing love. And she's like, no, all of these things you would have always been them. All of these things you would have always did them. That is not the case at all. Right? Yes, you are hurt. Yes, you are broken from your father abandoning you, but you are not who you are because he abandoned you. Right? And so the first lesson from today to all of my super smart, credentialed, degreed women that are watching and listening, right? It's just because you know your problem doesn't mean you're qualified to solve it, right? Just because I knew I was hurt from my father leaving because I had evidence from the tears, right? Just because I knew I was hurt doesn't mean I knew why and what the real root of it is. Doesn't mean that I was now qualified to draw giant conclusions about who I was and what I was capable of. Does that make sense, y'all? That doesn't mean I was qualified to draw these big conclusions about who I was and what I was capable of. Being unhealed, though, cost me my confidence and belief in myself because I thought I needed to enroll in school, in university, go back, I was prepared to spend another 10 years in school to become an MD because I thought I had to in order to have that degree and that credential behind my name, in order to be a successful coach, in order to be a successful personal trainer, in order to be a successful speaker who stood on stages with other doctors who had degrees. I thought that's what was required. Does anybody else here, or has anybody else here ever suffered from I'm not enough? I'm not enough. Being unhealed made me think I wasn't enough because I thought my father didn't think I was enough to love me. And so, therefore, I must not have what it takes to do what I feel called to do. I need you guys to look very closely at how you make decisions if you are not healed. Because when we are not healed, we make decisions based on stories that we made up that we have no evidence for. When we are unhealed, we make decisions based off of made up stories. Based off of made up stories. And it wasn't until, so listen what happened. Suffice it to say, soon as I had that like crying, that moment, that pivotal moment on Wayne State University campus that I told y'all about last week, and I was crying listening to Les Brown, I quit. I soon thereafter got into therapy. And she soon thereafter gave me a rude awakening about what I was thinking about it being true or not true. And I soon thereafter dropped out of pre-med at Wayne State University. I never finished a degree. And let me tell you what else happened. Soon thereafter, I dropped out of pre-med at Wayne State University and decided that the 2 degrees I had already acquired and all of the ridiculous amount of self-study I had already done to master nutrition, lifestyle, and exercise science. Once I decided to go ahead and take a chance on the stuff I already knew, right? Guess what happened? Someone entered into my life. Shout out to Paul. I owe him to this day. He was the founder of a nonprofit, the Plant Based Nutrition Support Group. He asked me to run his company because he wanted to step down as the executive director and he wanted me to step up as the executive director. And guess what? Stepping into the role as an executive director of that nonprofit did. It put me on the stages with every doctor that I thought I wasn't good enough to be on the stage with. It put me in rooms and in meetings and landed me in conversations and on initiatives that just a year prior, I thought I wasn't good enough or smart enough to do. It is so, the obedience, is, I didn't need another degree. I needed a butler. Wait, pause. What's a butler, Lise? I didn't need another degree. I needed a butler. What's a butler? A butler is somebody who opens doors for you. All I had to do was be still and continue to move in obedience. God called me to help people of color, to help extend their healthy life expectancy. Lisa, you did all the self-study. Lisa, you lived the lifestyle. Lisa, you got the results for yourself. You've packaged it into a process that other people can follow. You started the company. You started showing up in marketing and selling your services. You did not need another degree. You just needed a butler. You just needed somebody who was going to open the door for you. You didn't need another 10 years of schooling. You didn't need another couple of letters after your name. You didn't need another $500,000 in debt or whatever it would have cost to get a medical degree. You didn't need to be in residency for 5 years because I was an overachiever. I had decided when I started pre-med that my specialty in medical school was going to be surgery. So, to be a surgeon is next level. I wasn't trying to be a family doctor, no shade to family doctors. I wasn't trying to be a general practitioner, no shade to general practitioners. I wanted to be a surgeon. So I was prepared to be in school for another 10 plus years. I was prepared to be in residency for years. I was prepared to do everything it takes to be a surgeon, but I didn't need any of that. I just needed a butler. I already had the knowledge. I already had the voice. I already had the talent. I already had the presence. Y'all done seen me. Y'all know when I speak, I speak. Okay. I had all of that. I just needed somebody to open the door for me. When Paul called me and said, Lisa, I'm tired of running my plant-based company. I want you to come in and step in and help me and do it for me. He put me in positions that gave me the credibility, that gave me the visibility that I needed to get on the stages that I so longed to be on. And that is when I started. And here's the super cool part. This is like, if I was telling this story for real on the real stage, this is the part where I would drop the mic. Guess what happened after I dropped out of Wayne State pre-med and Paul asked me to be the executive director of his company? Guess what happened, y'all? Not only did I start getting on stages and doing all the things that I thought I needed a medical degree to do, but then Paul called me one day and was like, Lisa, they're doing this new program at Wayne State University. I said, huh? He said, they're doing this new program at Wayne State University, and they're really starting to talk about the importance of plant based diets when it comes to health and when it comes to combating chronic lifestyle disease. And he said they have these first and second year medical students and medical school students, and they called us and they want us to come talk about plant based nutrition. He said, I want you to do it. I said, I throw this up. Not only did I drop out, I got invited back to be a speaker at the same school that I dropped out of. I was prepared to be in the classroom with those first and second year medical students. Lo and behold, I find myself in front of them as a pre-med dropout, teaching them plant-based nutrition. He said, I think you'll be better at this than me, Lisa. Wayne State called us, our organization, to come talk about plant-based nutrition. Are you available to come do it? I said, Jesus? I said, God, oh, you really do make direct calls. I thought everybody was joking. God really do make house calls, baby. I said, what? What? This whole time, me being so unhealed, I'm thinking I wasn't enough. I'm all prepared to be in school. I'm all prepared to be in debt. I'm all prepared to be tired and overwhelmed and all the things I hear about what it takes to successfully graduate as a doctor. And all I needed the whole time was a butler, was somebody to open the door for me. I had already had what it takes. I had already had the voice. I already had the education. I already had the knowledge. I already had the experience. I'd already started a company. Sometimes you just need a butler, not necessarily a whole nother credential, not necessarily another 10 years of let me make sure, let me get some more experience before I really am good enough. Let me tell you something, being unhealed cost me my confidence in myself. Being unhealed cost me my belief in myself, but it was when I started the healing process. Because when Paul called me to be the executive director of his company, and then he eventually called me to be on these stages, I was still in the healing process. Let this be the second lesson to you guys today. Let this be the second lesson to you guys today. When you are obedient to being on the healing journey, you don't have to even be at the end of it before favor starts finding you. You don't have to even be completely healed until favor starts finding you, until God begins to show you that everything that you thought you knew about yourself, everything you thought about how little or not enough you were is untrue. You don't even have to be at the end of the journey before favor starts finding you. Let me tell you guys something. Healing is so powerful. It's so powerful. And if we don't do the work and get under the engine and start facing and addressing the things that are going to hurt, that's going to be hard to talk about, that's going to be hard to admit, if we don't start getting vulnerable, we are going to handicap our own selves. Being healing cost me money. It cost me time. It took time to get in classes. And let me tell y'all something. I told y'all I was pre-med. Baby, I took organic chemistry 1 and 2 before I had sense enough to drop out. Why couldn't I have sense before organic chemistry? I was doing formulas and calculations. I was in study halls with 18 and 19-year-olds trying to learn organic chemistry. Your girl passed both of them, but I had to go through all that foolishness because I was so unhealed. And here's why it's important. I'm not suggesting that, everybody that's in school, I'm not suggesting that everybody that's in school or currently investing in their continuing education is doing it for the wrong reasons. I'm just telling you that at the time I was doing it for the wrong reasons. Because since that time, I've invested in more education, but I've invested in education where the true gap was, which was my business acumen. I was investing in stuff that I had already mastered on my own, but I just wanted a credential so people would believe me, right? So I'm not suggesting that every time we want to learn more, that we don't need it. I'm saying I made the decision from an unhealed place. And so I did need continuing education, but I didn't need it in that area. I needed business acumen. And so I eventually dropped out of pre-med, and I did not need to learn more science. I needed to learn how to run a company. I needed to understand sales. I needed to understand marketing. I needed to understand hiring. I needed to understand programming. I needed to understand operations. That's what I didn't need. That's what I didn't know, and where I really should have spent that time and money. But because I was so unhealed and so broken, and I didn't believe in myself, and because I didn't have confidence, and because I went into that therapist's office telling her I got this I'm not enough syndrome, right? Because of all of those stories that I had made up, I made a decision from my brokenness. Once I began the healing process and eventually became healed, I started making decisions from my wholeness. Does that make sense? So we want to make decisions from our wholeness and not our brokenness. We want to make decisions from our wholeness and not our brokenness. And so here's what's super dope. I told you guys I eventually got invited back to be a speaker at Wayne State University, at the same university that I had just dropped out from. I got invited back as a subject matter expert to speak as a with a dropout on my resume. Okay. But here's what's so super cool. Even the things that you don't finish can become credible. Let me tell y'all a really, really quick, short story. Even the things you don't finish can make you credible. So, some of you guys may know who have been following me for a while that I had the honor of just this year being in a film about the health of Black women. The name of that film is called Sisters Getting Well. And the executive producer of that film asked me to be in the film, right? Talking about plant-based nutrition and talking about just what is plant-based nutrition and why it is so powerful in healing Black women, right? And so I had the pleasure of being in that film. And Jackie, one of the executive directors, she has a program called Sister Soul Nutrition, and she does weekly meetings with this group, and she asked me to come on and be a guest speaker. So when I came on to be a guest speaker at one of her weekly meetings a couple of weeks ago, she was introducing me. She was introducing me, and this was all virtual, right? So she's reading my bio on Zoom. And I just laughed so hard on the inside when she was reading my bio. And she said, and she did a couple years pre-med at like, have you guys ever had somebody read your bio and they talk about the stuff you didn't finish? I laughed so hard when she mentioned that because I'm just like, how? There's something that I didn't finish. I dropped out and she mentioned that as part of my bio. Like, don't get it twisted. Just because she didn't graduate don't mean she ain't learned nothing. And so as she's talking about all this other stuff I did, she's like, she's the founder of the Black Health Academy and she has a degree in psychology and an MBA and she's the founder of this and she does this 30-day vegan challenge. She's doing, and then she's like, also, she did a couple years pre-med at Wayne State University. I said, not something I didn't finish, still making me credible. I love it here. I love it here. Sometimes even the things you don't finish makes you credible. And I thought that was just so funny. Like, it's just amazing to me, the things that we do when we're unhealed, the decisions that we make when we're unhealed. And so I promise you, here's the takeaway for today. Here's what I want you guys to do. Okay. I want you to question every decision you make if you're unhealed. That's what I want you to do. I want you to question every decision you make if you are unhealed. If you know that there's something that you need to work through, something you need to work on, and you still have some part of you that may be broken or just some things that are unresolved that you haven't taken the time to work through in collaboration with a therapist or a coach or whatever, or in collaboration with God. If there's something that you are making decisions about who you are and what you're capable of, but you're unhealed, I want you to question every decision. And I want you to examine every decision very closely, because when we are unhealed, or at least this was the case for me, let me not say we, when I was unhealed, I was not in my right mind. When I was unhealed, I was not in my right mind. And so I didn't make the best decisions because I just didn't feel like I wasn't enough. Okay. So I dropped out of school because I wasn't there to learn. I dropped out of school because I was there in hopes that everyone would believe me when I was done. I wasn't in school to learn. I was there in hopes that other people would think I was enough when I was done. And so if you are in a place where there is something that is unresolved in your being, in your person, I need you to examine every decision you make, because I know when I was in the place where I had something I internally still need to deal with and something I needed to fix, I wasn't in my right mind. And when we're not in our right minds, we don't make the best decision for ourselves. And let me tell you, I was convincing. Like I thought enrolling in pre-med was the best decision. At the time, I'm like, this is the only way. This is the only way I'm going to have a successful health coaching business is if I become an MD. Fool, they don't even teach doctors nutrition. You now, in your own certification, got doctors who are working with you to learn the science. Why am I there to be more credible and they don't even teach the thing that I was planning to teach? It was wild. My decision making was just not sound because I was so consumed with who I wasn't. So I invite you guys, especially if you are not healed and you're not done with your healing journey, or you haven't completely addressed the things that you know need to be addressed. I invite you to, first and foremost, before you do anything else, re-examine every decision you make, because we're not always doing things for the right reason. Now, today, as a healed entrepreneur, as a healed business owner, as a healed coach, right? I get to coach individuals from a healed place. I get to make decisions about continuing education or where I want to invest in my professional development from a healed place. Now I can look at my entire picture and see the real gaps. I really needed business acumen. That's where my money should have went, right? And so now I can see the true gaps, and now I can trust my decision making. When we are unhealed, our decision making is questionable. When we make decisions about who we're going to spend our life with, we make decisions about our health, we make decisions about our future, we make decisions about our career, we make money decisions, all of that. Doing that from an unhealed place is a major risk. You are a risk taker to be making major decisions from an unhealed place. That is risky, right? And I'm not saying all decisions are bad during that time, but I'm just saying I need you to examine them to ensure you're doing it for the right reasons. Being unhealed cost me my confidence and my belief in myself. And it wasn't until I started the process of getting healed that I was able to put things in perspective, drop out of school, and lo and behold, God sent me the butler who was meant to open the door for me. And so that is my story. And I'm hoping that it resonates with you guys, especially those of you who know that healing is going to be your ticket to the next level in your life. That healing is going to be the ticket to the next journey in your life. So now I'm so proud to say that my story, my life story won't be littered with decisions I made because I didn't believe in myself. My life story will no longer be littered with decisions that I made because I didn't believe in myself. My story will now be all about decisions I made because I believed in myself. And those are two different stories. Those are two different stories. So that is your assignment today and going forward. If you're on the healing journey or you need to start, but you're making major decisions about what to do and how to show up, and you're doing it from an unhealed place, just be very careful and examine every decision until you get in a healthier place to make sure you're making the right decision. Because for me, it cost me time, it cost me money, it cost me energy, right? It cost me overwhelm, organic chemistry 1 and 2. What? Right? And look at me now. And since that time, I've went on to help hundreds of people, many of you guys listening. I've went on to help hundreds of people lose thousands of pounds. I've went on to help people reverse type 2 diabetes. I've went on to help people reverse hypertension. And I say reverse, that means they got off the medication. I know what I'm saying, right? I'm not talking about manage it. People come to me because they're managing it. But when they get to me, it's time for us to do the harder work of putting some stuff in remission, right? So I have helped people lower their A1C and go from diabetic to not diabetic. I've helped people go from pre-diabetic to not pre-diabetic. We've helped people get off of ADHD medication. Like the programs and the coaching that we've created since I boldly dropped out of pre-med has still produced the results that I thought being a medical doctor would have produced. So I need you guys to understand, I was enough the entire time, right? The mastery that I have acquired over my subject matter proved to be beneficial. And I have receipts, and receipts are people who have results, right? If I put out a call to my email list right now, like everybody who I've helped significantly in their health, I need you to raise your hand. We would have hands in the air. And so I'm just here to say that what you think you need to be who you need to be is probably not what you need. What you probably really need is healing so that you can make different decisions. And so I want you guys to know that my story is probably no different from some of you. If you are not in your right mind and you're making decisions from an unhealed place, I just encourage you to do the work as quickly as possible so you can become a better decision maker. For me, becoming healed helped me to become a better decision maker. And I know you guys can do the same. So that's it for today. Let's talk about next week's topic because we're talking healing all month long. Okay. So last week I told you guys how I discovered that there was something I needed to heal from. Today, I share with you guys what being unhealed cost me. Okay, what being unhealed cost me. Next Monday, when we're back here at this exact time and place, I'm going to talk about my proudest accomplishments since being healed. And it might surprise you. And I just told you guys a little bit about all of the receipts I have from being a health coach. But those are not my proudest accomplishments. Those are actually not my proudest accomplishments. I have some accomplishments that I'm even more proud of, above and beyond the people that I have personally helped on their health journey. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about that next week. I'm going to share with you my proudest accomplishments since being healed. And so, I'm super excited to be back here. Let me check this chat real quick before we hop off. What y'all doing on Instagram? Shantae Laker says, that's what I'm trying to do, lose weight that I put on from being unhealed. Listen, Shantae, yes, being unhealed can definitely result in weight gain, depending on how you deal with your emotions, man. Because if you make emotional eating decisions, if you make decisions not to eat, thinking that's gonna like keep weight off, it doesn't work. So I'm so glad you said that, Shantae. What y'all talking about here on YouTube? Yeah, Jacqueline said, take a chance on what you already know. Powerful. Thank you, Jacqueline. You said, thank you for my assigned butler for the next. Come on now. Absolutely. Shanita said, you are speaking to me. I just need a butler. That's it. You probably already know everything you need to know. Anthony said, butler, you doing too much. Heard him, coach. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I hope this bless y'all. Oh, thank you, Regina, on Instagram for the reminder. Let me tell you guys about the challenge. If you guys want to hear more content like this from me, I encourage you guys to register for my next 30-day vegan, salt, oil, and sugar-free challenge. We're in the run-up to that challenge now. So the challenge doesn't start to January 1st, 2025. However, as a courtesy to you guys and to make sure you are in the right mindset to get the best results from this challenge, I'm doing a complimentary masterclass every month in a run-up to the challenge. So in the month of September, I did a masterclass about chronic stress. We went crazy. The month of October, coming up on October 23rd, I'm doing a live Q&A to answer all of you guys' questions about plant-based nutrition, having an oil-free diet, having a sugar-free diet. And so that live Q&A is happening on Wednesday, October 23rd. So all you have to do to get in that Zoom room is to be registered for the challenge. And so it's lisaangelsmith.com/challenge. The link is in my bio on Insta. I think everybody here on YouTube might already be registered. These are my regs right here. But I'll put it in the chat just in case. lisaangelsmith.com/challenge is how you get registered. It doesn't cost you anything. We will have VIP tickets for those of you who love the front row like I do, want a more elevated experience, but the challenge is free, and so you don't have to pay anything, all right? So that is the best next step if you want to make sure you stay in my ecosystem and just get the knowledge and the information that you need to heal from the inside out. Then that is the best next step. Thank you guys for watching today. Back here next Monday, 10 a.m. Eastern, live on Instagram and live on my YouTube channel, where I'll be sharing my proudest accomplishments since being healed. So we're talking healing all month, all October. And so if you guys missed our first installment last Monday, it's still here available on my Instagram and on YouTube. So just look in the scroll back a few episodes, and you guys will see that if you missed last week, if you want to get caught up, so that you're all ready for my proudest accomplishments next Monday. Thank you guys for tuning in. Love you guys to life. Bye, y'all.